Ladies and gentlemen, gather round for a dramatic tale, not from fiction, but from the real halls of Congress, where history, politics, and raw emotion collided live on television. Picture this, Rep. Jasmine Crockett, a rising Democratic firebrand from Texas, seizes the microphone during a House Judiciary Committee hearing on June 26, 2025. The topic, integrity in visa policies, this time with Melania Trump's EB-1 Einstein visa under the spotlight. Crockett, known for her bold directness, slams the Trump administration's immigration double standards, ripping into how ordinary people face harsh deportations while the president's family seems to skate by unchecked. Then she drops the bombshell: Melania received an EB-1 visa reserved for Nobel laureates, Olympic medalists, or world-class geniuses. But according to Crockett, the former First Lady's portfolio didn't include any such accolades, just a modeling resume and a GQ photo shoot from 2000. It doesn't take an Einstein to see the math ain't math in here. She fires, punctuating her point with a mic drop quip. Now in walks Alex Noraste from the Cato Institute, attempting a cheeky defense. Not everybody could marry Donald Trump. That's quite an achievement. Crockett humbly nods. You sure are right. I couldn't have done it. But the message remains loud. Melania's marriage is no credential for an EB-1 visa. Cut to former President Trump, seething behind closed doors and later fuming when asked. The video captures the moment. Trump erupts on live TV, his face flushed, tone furious, denying Crockett's accusations and painting her as disrespectful. The fallout is immediate. Conservatives cry foul, decrying jealous attacks on Melania, while others point to her multilingual fluency and grace as counterpoints. Media explode. Social feeds fill with outrage, memes, and sharp rejoinders. Can Crockett speak 5 languages? No, so she can just shut her mouth. Melania has more class in her little finger. But this story doesn't end with politicians trading barbs. It shines a harsh light on visa integrity. B1 is meant for extraordinary feats. Crockett's challenge forces a national conversation. Should immigration policy tolerate privilege when ordinary folks do not? Her remark, when it comes to the president's family, struck a nerve, making clear the stakes of fairness in America's system, and therein lies the power of this moment. A congresswoman on live TV calling out a former First Lady's path to citizenship. A former president visibly losing his composure. A country weighing whether its leaders are held to the same rules as everyone else. So let me leave you with this. This was no scripted speech. It was a flashpoint, a spotlight on privilege, integrity, and accountability. For those who yearn for equal treatment, Crockett's words resonate. Even on the grandest stage, we must demand that no one gets special treatment. Not queens, not presidents, not their families. Because if we compromise integrity for power, we risk the very foundation of trust that binds our nation. In a moment that could be described as a political firestorm, Rep. Jasmine Crockett of Texas took center stage during a June 2025 House Judiciary Committee hearing and delivered a sharp critique that left ripples across the political landscape. Her target: the former First Lady Melania Trump, who, according to Crockett, had benefited from an EB-1 visa, which is reserved for individuals of extraordinary ability, Nobel laureates, Olympic gold medalists, and others who have made exceptional contributions in their fields. Crockett didn't hold back, raising a question that many had been whispering about for years. Did Melania Trump's background in modeling and a few high-profile magazine appearances truly qualify her for such a prestigious visa? Crockett's remarks were explosive, emphasizing the disparity in how immigration laws appeared to favor the elite, particularly the family of former President Donald Trump, while everyday people were subjected to grueling and often unforgiving immigration processes. It doesn't take an Einstein to see the math ain't math in here, Crockett quipped, a line that quickly became a viral sensation. With that one sentence, she not only poked fun at the apparent loophole but also highlighted a serious issue: the immigration system that many felt was rigged for the powerful and wealthy. The moment was electric and the reaction was swift. On one side, Crockett's supporters celebrated her for calling out the hypocrisy of the immigration system, applauding her for pointing out the discrepancies that often went unchecked. They saw it as an act of courage, a politician using her platform to speak truth to power. On the other side, however, Trump's supporters immediately saw it as an attack on Melania herself, a personal insult to the First Lady who had, by many accounts, maintained a relatively low profile throughout her husband's tumultuous presidency. For many, Crockett's remarks were not only an indictment of the visa system, but also a reflection of what they saw as a broader trend of disrespect toward the Trump family. After all, Donald Trump, a man known for his unfiltered style and fiery rhetoric, had been a lightning rod for controversy since his first run for office in 2016. To many, the criticisms of his family felt like part of a larger, unrelenting campaign to discredit the Trump legacy. As the news of the exchange spread, so did the criticisms and counter-arguments. Some of Crockett's fiercest detractors argued that her comments were a distraction from the real issues at hand. They contended that the political grandstanding about Melania Trump's visa was merely an attempt to divert attention from more pressing matters. In their view, the attack was a petty and personal jab that took away from the important work that Congress needed to focus on. Meanwhile, others took to social media to praise Crockett's remarks, celebrating her as a voice of reason who was willing to challenge the status quo. The online commentary was nothing short of a spectacle, with people dissecting every part of the exchange. Memes flooded social media, many mocking the former First Lady's qualifications, while others rallied behind Crockett, insisting that the elite should not be exempt from the rules that applied to ordinary Americans. The controversy didn't end there. The next day, former President Donald Trump himself weighed in. In a televised interview, Trump erupted in his signature style, firing back at Crockett's comments and accusing her of disrespecting not only Melania but also his entire family. His tone was forceful and his words were laden with anger, signaling just how deeply the comments had affected him. For Trump, this was no longer just about a visa. It was about defending his family, his legacy, and the very notion of power and privilege that had long been associated with his name. It was clear that, for the former president, any slight against his family was a battle worth fighting, and he wouldn't let it go unchallenged. The political fallout from this exchange was both immediate and far-reaching. For one, it reignited debates about the fairness of the U.S. immigration system, particularly regarding high-profile figures and their ability to sidestep the hurdles that the average immigrant faces. Was it possible that the Trump family, with all their wealth and political clout, had received special treatment? Was Crockett right in suggesting that Melania's background didn't warrant the extraordinary designation of an EB-1 visa? These questions dominated the headlines, with immigration reform advocates pushing for a closer examination of how the system worked and whether it was truly as equitable as it was supposed to be. On the other hand, this incident also sparked a broader discussion about the nature of political discourse in America. In a climate already rife with division, was this exchange a symptom of a larger trend toward personal attacks and mudslinging in politics? Critics of Crockett argued that such attacks on Melania Trump were beneath the dignity of a sitting Congresswoman, accusing her of reducing a serious political conversation to a personal vendetta. Meanwhile, others saw it as an important reminder that politicians are not above scrutiny, and that if they are going to hold positions of power, they must be held accountable for their actions and decisions. The eruption from Trump was seen by some as confirmation of just how deeply personal and partisan the political climate had become. The idea that any criticism of his family would be met with such intense opposition underscored the heightened tensions between political camps. This moment also highlighted the broader challenges facing politicians in the age of social media and live broadcasts. What was said in the confines of a closed, door meeting, or a private conversation could now be broadcast to millions of people in an instant. The rapid-fire nature of online discourse meant that moments like this were often reduced to sound bites, clipped and shared, spun in all directions. In many ways, the story of Crockett's comments and Trump's fiery reaction was a reflection of the way modern politics had evolved. One where personal attacks, viral moments, and emotional outbursts had come to dominate the public sphere. In the end, this incident was more than just a political spat. It was a microcosm of the broader debates and divisions in American society. It underscored the tensions between power and privilege, the frustrations with a system that many feel is rigged, and the challenges of navigating a political landscape where personal attacks are often as important as policy proposals. It was a reminder that in the world of politics, what begins as a pointed comment or a simple critique can quickly spiral into something far bigger, with repercussions that extend far beyond the original exchange. Whether one agrees with Crockett's criticism or Trump's defense, one thing was clear. The conversation about privilege, power, and accountability was far from over.